All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for our fourth of 5 panels at our admitted student experience, this one focused on preparation and outcomes. Unfortunately, we are not able to come to you live this afternoon, but we are thrilled to be able to pre-record with our wonderful panelists. And this will, of course, be available to all the students and families on our admitted student experience website. So without further ado, hello, my name is Sam Carter, Associate Director of Admission, and we will have our panelists all introduce themselves. So panelists, if you want to give your name, let us know your role on campus, and then students, if you can let us know some of the groups that you're involved in, and if you want to give us a little bit of your why Ursinus story, why you ultimately chose to enroll at Ursinus, and that would be great if we could hear from the alums as well on that note too. So Sharon, if you want to kick things off.
Hi everyone, so nice to see you today. My name is Sharon Hansen. I am the Director of Career and Postgraduate Development here at the college.
Excellent, thank you, Sharon. Sam, you're up next.
Hi, my name's Samantha. I'm a senior biochemistry and molecular biology senior at Ursinus. On campus, I have jobs in the advancement office, which is an alumni relations and annual giving, the office of admission as a senior fellow. I'm also a biology tutor. I do honors research with faculty on campus. I'm a part of a sorority and a bunch of other clubs and organizations on campus as well. I ultimately chose Ursinus just because of the wonderful community that it portrayed to me my very first visit. The relationships between the students and the professors was just exactly what I was looking for.
Perfect, thank you. Keisha, you're up next.
Hi, my name is Keisha Patel. I graduated from Ursinus in 2017. I'm currently about to graduate law school at the University of North Carolina. While I was at Ursinus, I pretty much had every job in admissions. I was on the mock trial team in the pre-law society. I danced for Escape Velocity. I was a sustainability fellow with the environmental studies office. I did research. I was a double major in politics and gender studies and was on the pre-law track, of course. And now I'm involved in the Gold Council, which is the Graduates of the Last Decade Council. I chose Ursinus. I didn't know what I was looking for when it came to my college search. I applied to 14 schools, big, small, private, public, and I really got drawn into the small liberal arts very quickly, realized that was right for me, and Ursinus just felt like home from my first visit. I sat in on some classes, and it was the best academic experience or environment that I had visited, so I knew Ursinus would be right.
Fantastic, thank you. And now to Ria.
Hi everyone, my name is Ria. I'm a senior at Ursinus College. I study psychology and media and communication studies with minors in East Asian studies and Japanese. So I do quite a lot. On campus, I'm a senior fellow just like Sam. I'm a Japanese tutor along with the president of Japan Club. I also dance in the Heart and Soul K-pop dance team. I'm involved in Greek life on campus amongst all other different types of things. And I chose Ursinus because I really wanted that close personal class size that Ursinus offered. I knew I wasn't going to get that professor-student connection at a larger college, and I knew Ursinus would be perfectly right for me.
Excellent, thank you. Susanna, you're up next.
Hi everyone, it's nice to see you today. I'm Susanna Throop. I'm an associate professor at Ursinus, and I'm the chair of the history department.
Thank you, Susanna. And now to Meredith.
Hi, everyone. I'm Meredith Goldsmith. I'm a professor of English and Associate Dean of Academic Affairs at the college.
Thank you very much. And lastly, we have you, Jake.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. My name is Jake Twill. I live in New York City, and I'm a senior environmental studies major and management studies minor here at Ursinus. On campus, along with Sam and Ria, I'm a senior admissions fellow, and I'm also a sustainable energy fellow in the Office of Sustainability here on campus, where I assist with office projects and campus emissions reports, that kind of thing. I've been involved in research in my environmental studies department for 3 years now, and I've also had the privilege to be in Greek life and play varsity baseball here for 2 years at Ursinus. I ultimately chose Ursinus because I graduated from a fairly small high school, and I knew that the smaller liberal arts style of education was probably going to be the best fit for me. And then that coupled with a school that had an awesome department for me, and I also had the ability to play baseball, was pretty much the reason why I chose Ursinus.
All right, thank you, Jake, and thank you to all of our panelists. So just so people know who are playing along at home, we've compiled a list of our frequently asked questions that we'll throw to our panelists here this afternoon. We've also been monitoring our Ask a Bear feature on our Admitted Student Experience website, and we're going to weave a couple of those questions in as we go along as well. So as we're focused today on outcomes, on preparation, we're going to be talking a lot about our Career and Postgraduate Development Office. So Ria, I would love to start with you, and just how familiar are you, how familiar are students in general with the CPD office on campus?
Yeah, so the CPD is a great office on campus that helps students to understand how to find jobs, how to get internships, honestly, anything that has to do with your career. Throughout your 4 years at Ursinus, you really find the different opportunities. Something that I'd like to highlight is actually the resume workshop or resume building services that they provide. My freshman year, I had no idea how to build a resume or what to even include on my resume. So that was something that I really enjoyed with the CPD, and they really helped me understand what should be included and to prepare for job interviews and things like that.
Perfect, thanks, Ria. Keisha, I would go to you as well in your experience when you were on campus. Did you utilize that office, and then did it play a role into your path once you left Ursinus?
Yeah, absolutely. I was in a unique position of knowing that I was planning on going straight to grad school and not looking for a job post-grad. So they were really helpful for me when it came to application materials, things like working on my resume, things like, getting comfortable with interviews, kind of how to highlight my skills and what makes me unique, things like that. So they're really helpful for not just job search, but also, when you're looking to post-grad education.
Absolutely, thank you. And then Sharon, I'd love to hear from you as well, just the work that you're doing, particularly with first-year students as they come in.
Sure, Sam. Yes, we'd love to work with first-year students, and in fact, we know that it is critical for first-year students to engage with career and postgraduate development. So in working with the first-year students, we really focus on the importance of discussing what might be thought of as the first of our 4 core questions. And so we start with what should matter to me. And we work with the students in helping them think about how what they've done in the past, then what they found that is meaningful can relate to what it is they perhaps might choose to do at Ursinus, and eventually beyond. So very specifically how that has rolled out is that in the fall semester, we meet with the first year students in their first year advising groups, and we do workshops with them in that context. So that happens in the first semester. And then in the second semester, every first year student receives a personalized invitation from one of the professionals in career and postgraduate development to come in for a first year chat, at which time we will likely reflect upon the first semester, see what type of learning and growth took place, and think about, again, talk about maybe major declaration plans for the summer, and also, again, growth along that continuum of the journey to realizing a life of meaning and purpose, which is really part of our mission statement.
Excellent, thank you. Yeah, and I know that when we're talking with prospective students, they're looking to get connected with that office right as soon as that first semester when they're on campus.
Yep.
So that's great to hear. Another question we get a lot is just around internships. Students know about them, they want them. So Jake, I'd love to hear from you. How do you go about getting an internship as a student at Ursinus?
Yeah, so I guess the short answer would be it depends. There's a bunch of different ways to go about getting an internship. Our CPD office offers internship resources that definitely allow students to explore a bunch of different kinds of opportunities through the office and also through a lot of the different outlets that the CPD office offers. And on top of that, as I've done twice, students can use a lot of other resources like the professors at Ursinus, advisors and other faculty as a resource for sure. When I was between my sophomore and junior year, I kind of decided that I was interested in an internship during my junior year fall semester. So I reached out to my advisor and let him know, and he sent me a list of possible internships that he thought would be a good fit for me. I ended up applying to a few and got an offer from a local nonprofit that's located about 10 minutes off campus from Ursinus. And the coolest part about that was when I actually got to the internship, I realized that the supervisor for me was an Ursinus alumni that had been involved in the environmental studies department when I was a freshman at Ursinus, which was really cool.
Great, thanks, Jake. And then Sam, would you describe these opportunities as competitive? How do you view that process in your experience?
Yeah, so sometimes they can be very competitive because most people might think to first look at those big companies. In my case, I originally had looked at like Merck and Pfizer since I was thinking about going into the pharmaceutical industry. And since those companies are more well known, they can be kind of a little bit more competitive. However, I use the Handshake website that the CPD also offers access to as an Ursinus student, and found a bunch of other internships as well, including the internship that I did after my sophomore year during the summer at a local biotech company in Malvern. That was fantastic. They knew Ursinus students, had hired Ursinus students in the past, so they knew the quality of education that I was receiving and thought I would be a great candidate, and I loved it. I learned so much from it. It just extended further what I was learning in the classroom. I actually knew a lot of the methodology that they used because of my education at Ursinus too. So even though sometimes internships can be competitive, I did feel fully qualified for those internships that I was applying for.
Awesome, thank you. And Sharon, I see you nodding along throughout that. Is there anything that you'd like to add in the world of internships from your obviously vast experience?
Certainly. CPD works very closely with our students in considering and applying for internships. So, and the goal is, it's beyond just helping students get an internship, it's helping students find a meaningful internship from which they will learn. So there's a lot of conversations that will happen with the students about what that could look like. And then, of course, being their partners in the process of searching and identifying the internships and applying for them. We have many different ways throughout the year through which we help students connect with internships and, for example, on-campus interviews. We have an annual job internship and networking fair in February. And in fall, we have a newly introduced fall student and employer mixer where we bring organizations to campus which typically hire their interns earlier in the year to meet with our students as well.
Very nice, thank you. So we have CPD right on campus. They're working with students. Internships are available, and indeed our students are obtaining those. But Susanna, I would throw this next question to you. What is it about Ursinus education, or what skills are our students bringing that are setting them apart maybe from these other applicants?
Yeah, so there's really two big things that come to mind when you ask that question, Sam. The main thing that I hear from employers and also from alumni out in the working world is that versatility is really key, and the ability to continually learn new things and new skills. And you may have thought, listening to our panelists introduce themselves, that, oh, well, maybe not everyone does all those different things at Ursinus, but actually most of our students are doing so many majors and minors. In the history department, almost 60% of our majors are double majors. And what that means is students are learning to think and solve problems in very different ways, but they're also learning to work within different communities, with different organizational cultures. That's all directly transferable. The second thing is that our students have opportunities to grow in ways that I certainly didn't when I was undergraduate at a big research-focused university. They're able to develop their professionalism, their collaboration skills, and especially their leadership. And that's because everyone here wants to be working primarily with our undergraduate students. We believe in them, and we want to give them opportunities to really shine. And that carries over into life after graduation.
Yeah, absolutely. And Meredith, would you have anything that you'd like to add on that topic?
Sure. Yeah, I just want to, first of all, echo everything Susanna said. I think that we produce students who are collaborative and also independent, who are interested in thinking through problems for themselves, and who are also interested in reaching out across discipline. And part of that is informed by our core curriculum, where students have to take a lot of courses outside their discipline and develop that kind of versatility that Susanna's talking about. I should say from my office, I'm involved in running some numbers about how many students have done internships. And I can tell you within this year's senior class is 138. So that's over a third. So that is very, very impressive. So that's the one thing I would like to add.
Terrific, thank you. And obviously a huge resource that we've touched on very briefly is that Ursinus alumni network. Those alums are out there, they are strong, they're constantly returning to campus, asking how they can help, how can they interact with our students. So Sharon, I'd love for you to just speak a little bit about the involvement of alumni in this process.
This is a topic, again, you probably saw me smiling and nodding while you were mentioning that. Our alumni are steadfast partners in this entire process as it relates to helping our students figure out what they want to do, look for internships, apply to graduate and professional school, look for jobs. Throughout the year, we have alumni come to campus through what we call our employer in residence program, where they hold individual meetings with the students about a variety of topics. Additionally, we have a job shadow program, which is called our externship program, through which students are matched with alumni from Ursinus to do job shadows that last between 2 to 5 days, and that happens during winter break and spring break. And so that's just another great example of how our alumni are going out of their way to help our students. And finally, I just might add, we most recently, in light of the current environment, reached out to our alumni to request their assistance with internships and jobs for our students. And within an hour or two of that messaging going out, we were already getting emails in with offers to help, whether it just be supportive comments and a couple internship postings, some job leads. So the alumni network is wonderful and very well connected.
Excellent, and that's obviously great to hear that you got such a warm response from those alums. Keisha, as an alum yourself, I'd love to hear you just kind of weigh in on this topic, and how did the alumni network play into your own journey?
Absolutely. The alumni network was incredibly helpful in my journey of figuring out how to apply to law school, what things I should be looking for, what type of law I'm interested in. From my freshman year, I got involved in the Pre-Law Society, where we routinely had alumni coming to speak to us, to give us tips. Throughout my time at Ursinus, as my fellow friends graduated and went on to law school, those are the people that I reached out to for help, saying, what else at company should I use? What type of personal statement should I write? Will you look over this? Can I come visit you at your law school and see what your school is like? So that networking was incredibly helpful. Since then, I still reach out to alumni. I still meet with alumni, even as an alum myself, to get more advice and help. That network is still very strong. There is an annual homecoming breakfast for lawyers and current students to mingle and network. There in February is usually a dinner, things like that, which are great opportunities. I was just on to speak with one of the pre-law classes at Ursinus a couple weeks ago, and I got on a Zoom call and helped answer questions from current students about the law school process. So as an alum, I'm more than willing to help if any prospective students watching this are interested in the law track, if they want to reach out to admissions and get my contact info. I'm really thankful for all the alumni who have helped me, and I don't think I would be where I am without their advice, so I'm happy to help and pass that on as well.
Terrific. Thank you for your answer. Thank you for your involvement as well, Keisha. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about internships, alumni involvement, but without a doubt, the number one question we get from students very bluntly is, does Ursinus help students find jobs? So Sharon, I'll throw that question first to you.
So Ursinus definitely assists our students in finding jobs, and that we again, it is about finding a job. It's more about finding what is going to bring meaning and purpose to that student, of course, and how one can, if they need to support themselves, how they can do that through work. But some of our students will go on to graduate or professional school, some will go on to a year of service. But how we do that, we work very closely. A lot of it is done in the very Ursinus way of individual one-on-one meetings and consultations with the students. Beyond that, as it relates to even as we get into senior year, all seniors receive a personalized invitation to come in for a graduate planning session, specifically designed for them with one of the career advisors in the office. So again, it's not just coming from the career email account, it would be coming from me to whichever students I have been assigned individually to come in. So we start right there with the customized approach in terms of working with the students.
Perfect, thank you. And then Susanna, I'd love to get your perspective on that question from the faculty angle.
Sure. Just to echo what's been said, our alumni are absolutely our best asset in this regard. A lot of departments have specific alumni panels every year. I know we do. And the response Sharon described, that's standard. We had to cancel an event and the alumni were like, give students our emails, right? So that's the first thing. The second is that a lot of the departments at Ursinus don't view academics and what you might call professional training as separate and distinct from each other. So students are learning about what they're learning and how that relates to life after college in the classroom, as well as in their events and meetings with CPD. In my capstone seminar right now, every week we cover something related to the connections between their academic work and life after graduation. And I think that reflects the fact that a number of faculty, a high number in my experience, have had significant work experience in the private sector one way or another. And so don't view academia and the private sector as opposing or contradictory places to be.
No, that's a great point. And I know that we touched on this briefly in our academics panel, and a lot of the students felt that the fact that many of our faculty had that private sector experience, they're bringing that with them into the classroom. They cited that as something that's been really instrumental in their own journey under Ursinus. So Jake, as a student, I would throw that same question to you for your perspective. Has Ursinus been helpful in the job hunt?
Yeah, I think that the most unique thing about Ursinus is the initiative that they take to try and connect students with jobs that they feel like are going to be meaningful in terms of the personal and professional development of each student. So it's not so much, oh, let's set this student up with an internship just so they can have an internship, or let's help this student find a job just so that they have something to do after they graduate. It's more, we're going to help you find a job that's going to be meaningful so that you can equip yourselves with the skill and the power to be able to do whatever you want after graduation, not just to do something. And I think that the Career and Professional Development Office certainly offers the resources, whether it's through online web portals like Handshake, as we'd mentioned, or through resume writing workshops, so that you can have the right words down on the page, that you're going to get your resume in front of the employers that you want to, and you're going to have your resume stand out when an employer is looking at your resume. And I think that that's kind of the most unique thing about Ursinus, is that they're doing everything that they can to not only land you a job, but land you a job that's going to be significant to you after you graduate, which is very important.
Yeah, that's terrific. And as we look to imbue these paths with meaning, with that significance, and Sharon alluded to it as well, some students aren't going to go directly into the job market. They might go on to a graduate school program. So Sam, I'd love to hear from you. Just what has that advising been like for you?
So the advising at Ursinus in terms of like grad school is fantastic. My research advisor has kind of more so helped me with all of that. I was a summer fellow this past summer doing research in my lab, and in my downtime when I wasn't conducting an experiment or something, my research advisor, Dr. Cameron, was like, yeah, take this time to look at grad schools. If you need my help, like what programs to look for or how to write your personal statement, he was always there like with guidance, and also to just kind of work with me through the process as well. And then I know with like other graduate schools, like the pre-health program, they start pre-health advising in your freshman year as well, to kind of get that process started as early as possible as well. So the work with graduate schools is top notch, I think.
Terrific. Thanks, Sam. And Meredith, I would love to get your take on that as well, just graduate school advising as we work with our students.
Sure. One of the things that I would say is that there's a lot of different kinds of programs that students can apply to, and a lot of different postgraduate paths, especially for students in the humanities. And I'm looking at Susanna. In our departments, we have students who, want to do not simply English or history, but public history, library and information science. And this is sort of a sign of the valuable careers that one can have with this, kind of liberal arts training. And so one of the things that I typically do is sit down with students and say, what are you really interested in? And I think this kind of goes back to Sharon's point about what really matters and questions of vocation. And then once you talk through that, you find that, there might be a lot of things a person is interested in that don't necessarily fit in one certain box. So we really work through all the different opportunities that are available for them. And I wanted to kind of echo Sam's point about the writing sample as well. One of the things that we really do very carefully is work with students on writing samples, personal statements, working with colleagues on letters of recommendation. So we put a lot of work into helping students present the best package possible.
Absolutely, and it is really our size that allows us to be very individualistic as we work with these students, oftentimes one-on-one, helping them find those pathways that are going to be the best fit for them. And another thing that we're able to help our students find are experiential learning opportunities, whether that comes in the form of an internship, a study abroad experience. Research is also very, very popular on campus. And so Ria, I'd love to hear from you. How has your research kind of set you apart in your own field as you look to take that next step?
So research at Ursinus is very different from many other schools. Echoing on that one-on-one experience, you don't just research and you don't just do it within your classes. You're actually very independent with what you do with research. And the coolest thing is that you're not just having the project on your resume and that being it. You actually go to conferences and you actually get the experience that you need and the different skill sets that you get from these experiences. You get published sometimes as well. I know a few of my friends are actually published, and so that's really cool and something they can put onto their resumes. And you actually get outcomes and you get different types of results that are definitely skills that can set you apart from others.
Yeah, absolutely. And Sam, do you feel that your research has helped to set you apart as well?
Oh, definitely. So I've been conducting research in Dr. Cameron's lab since my sophomore year, and you can actually get started in a research lab as early as your freshman year if you wanted to. And I honestly say start it sooner rather than later, because I've been able to be the lead on my research project for 2 years now, and do my honors project, do my summer fellows project, which has just allowed me to gain a large sense of confidence in my abilities to work independently, but also with other people in the lab as well. I've mentored a couple other undergraduates in my lab, and that's actually also the best part about Ursinus, is that we are strictly undergrad. So that way, those research opportunities aren't going to graduate students. They're coming directly to us. We get to be the lead. We get to take that independence that Ria was talking about on these projects and really let them become ours, which is fantastic.
Yeah, definitely. That's very well said. And then Susanna, I would just throw it to you. I know that when I'm working with prospective students, a lot of times some of them may think research is just held in those more traditional lab sciences, your biologies, chemistries. But I'd love to hear about some of the research that you've done with students that you've been working with sort of outside of these more traditional lab sciences.
Sure. I'll try and keep it succinct. Our students in the humanities do tons of research. So in the history major, by the time you're done, you'll have done at least 5 different independent research projects as part of your coursework. In other words, you'll be in a course, but you'll have to design and complete your own project. But in addition to that, we do a lot of one-on-one work with mentoring students with their own self-designed research projects, either as an independent study, as honors, as summer fellows. And Ursinus also has this really cool program for undergraduate research assistants in the humanities. So recognizing that a lot of schools may not have support for research in the humanities, and recognizing that humanists can't readily get grants to pay student research assistants, Ursinus makes funds available for that. So I've had student research assistants working with me on my books for, I think, the last 4 years. And that's been absolutely fantastic. Both for me, I think for them as well. And it's been a real collaboration. To echo what Sam and Ria have said, this isn't just looking at bibliography for me. I'm working with my RAs as collaborator with collaborator, and that's meaningful for me as well as for them.
Terrific, thank you very much. And then Keisha, I saw a lot of vigorous head nodding, so if you want to weigh in here, feel free.
Yeah, absolutely. I did research at Ursinus. I did summer fellows twice, my sophomore and my junior summer. I did an independent study, and I also did honors research. And the opportunity to do research as a politics and women's studies major is very unique. Employers are not expecting that. I constantly get questions about the fact that I have an honors thesis, that's been posted, that I've gone to conferences and presented. It's on my resume, and people are always really excited about it. And it was a great way for me, particularly, to combine my interest of politics, gender studies, and the law. I did a study on how Roe v. Wade impacts women's legal rights that combined all three of my interests. So it was very interdisciplinary for me, and the opportunity to do that was really remarkable.
Awesome, thanks Keisha. So among the myriad of things I love about Ursinus, that students love about Ursinus, is certainly its location. We're obviously right in Collegeville, which borders King of Prussia, and then we are also within close proximity to Philadelphia as well. And so Jake, I would throw this question to you. Do you feel students take advantage of Ursinus's location?
Definitely, they absolutely do. Like I say, it's really what you make of it. There's obviously tons of things to get involved in the Collegeville area, but our proximity to Philadelphia is something that should absolutely should be taken advantage of as well. On the, I guess, leisurely or cultural side of things, there are tons of places to visit. I know just from my experience, I've been able to visit numerous museums and art galleries. I've been to a bunch of awesome restaurants in Philadelphia, some concerts as well. So I think on the social side of things, definitely there's a lot of things to do if you just feel like you need to leave the Collegeville area for whatever reason. But also on the professional side of things, I think that there's a lot of opportunities for students in Philadelphia, to take advantage of as well. Things like our Philly X experience, where you're going to have students that are going to be taking a semester away from Ursinus, and you're going to be living, working, and studying in Philadelphia during an entire semester. And there's also, just because of our, the prestige of a lot of the programs that we offer at Ursinus, we're very distinguished in the region in places like Philadelphia. So you're going to have employers that have hired Ursinus students in the past that will then come back to Ursinus and then are going to be actively recruiting different Ursinus students because they found that the level of the employee that they've hired from Ursinus has been at such a high level. So I think that's definitely something that should be taken advantage of as, an Ursinus student as well, and many do.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are a ton of opportunities in Philly, some of them more on the professional academic side, but some of them on the more leisurely side as well. And I know that our students are able to utilize both sides of that coin. But Sharon, if you wanted to expand a little bit on that, particularly if you wanted to touch just briefly upon the Philadelphia experience.
Of course, yes, and Jake did such a remarkable job of explaining many things in Philadelphia experience, which we internally refer to as Philly X as one of them. But just to elaborate a little bit, the Philadelphia Experience Program, or Philly X, is a program through which a cohort of students can live, study, and intern in the city of Philadelphia for one semester. And currently it typically would take place in the fall semester. So the students will live together, and there are some classes that they can take that are taught by Ursinus faculty members who are actually teaching classes in Philadelphia. And most of those courses will use the city of Philadelphia as a classroom. Actually, for example, there's a professor in the English department who has taught memoir writing and had classes in different coffee shops and different locations across the city. And then a large component of the Philadelphia Experience Program is the internship. So we've had students intern at everywhere from the Philadelphia Museum of Art to some banks and everything in between. So it's been a very interesting program. It's a great opportunity for our students to take advantage of our proximity to the city of Philadelphia.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So as we look for students doing internships, some of them are going right into the job market directly after school, but those who are looking for graduate programs, does Ursinus have any partnerships with particular graduate programs either in the area or maybe not in the area. Meredith, I would throw that question to you.
Yes, so there is a direct dual degree program between the Business and Economics Department and the St. Joseph's University Business School. There is another one with the Simon School of Business at University of Rochester. And we just created a BA BSN in with Villanova for students who are interested in nursing. And we just completed an agreement with the University in Hong Kong, whom we've had a long-term partnership with in applied economics. So for students who are interested in international finance, this is a really kind of one-of-a-kind opportunity for them. There are also two dual degree programs in engineering that the college has, one with Columbia University and one with Case Western.
Terrific, thank you. And then Sharon, are there any to add? That seemed like a pretty good list.
It is a wonderful list, and Meredith may have covered this, but just in case, we have an agreement with the University of the Sciences in Philadelphia for some of their master's and PhD programs, and a newer agreement for environmental studies with a school that offers master's degree programs.
Terrific, thank you. So Keisha, this next question is for you, and it's going to be a two-parter, so just a heads up. The first part being, did you feel prepared for your interviews as you were going through that process? And then secondly, this was a write-in question from a student, and I'd love to get your perspective now that you're able to kind of look back and reflect a little bit. But what is one thing about your experience that you would have changed while you were on campus?
So I definitely think that they have helped me be prepared. And that's come through a lot of ways. Just the biggest thing is having the advising and the support. It's really hard when you're in college and you aren't even sure what's next, much less how to get to it or what to do. When you're supposed to take entrance exams for graduate school, when you should start working on things, when's an appropriate time to have an internship, how many should you have, all of that type of stuff. So that's just been really helpful, of having multiple people there to help you and guide you. And that's, come from both academic advisors, professional advisors, the career office. Just having all of those people on your side helping you has really helped me become prepared. One thing I would change, that's really tough. I think I would have ventured further out a little bit more. So when I first started my freshman and sophomore year, I was very, taking the standard classes in my topic of interest and kind of putting off some of the other classes that I didn't think I'd be interested in, such as my lab science requirement, my math requirement, my art credit. And so when I did end up taking those my junior year, I ended up actually really loving some of them. And that kind of made me think, oh, well, I wish I had used this time to take more classes. I remember I took Intro to Dance as my art credit, and I loved it. And then I joined the Escape Velocity Dance Company and started dancing the rest of my time at Ursinus. So just things like that. I mean, the courses at Ursinus are incredible. There's some really great ones. I took Knights and Chivalry with Dr. Throop, which was really fun. So there's just like very unique classes. And I would encourage people to, look at the course catalog, look outside of your course of study, and take advantage of some of those classes.
Yeah, absolutely. College is a time to explore, trying new things. Sam, I would throw the interview question to you as well. Have you felt prepared for those interviews? And then what specifically has Ursinus done to help you in that preparation? And then if you would like to reflect as well on your experience and tell us something that you might change, feel free to do so.
Yeah, so definitely Ursinus helps with interview preparation. Like we mentioned previously, the Career and Postgraduate Development Office does mock interviews both with the CPD staff as well as sometimes with alumni, which is always a fantastic resource. But other than that, I really feel like the coursework and especially my lab classes have helped me with interviews, because sometimes the science interviews like to throw math questions at you just to make sure that you can do them, and being comfortable to answer those questions efficiently, effectively is like top notch at Ursinus. So definitely feel very prepared, very confident in my work and in my skills when I go to those interviews. From my time at Ursinus, I honestly wish I ate in Upper Wismar a little bit more, because now I am back at home and I'm like, dang, I wish I had more of those Brussels sprouts and more of that banana bread that I don't have to make myself. But yeah, kind of missing Upper Wismar.
Very wise words. Thank you. Okay, so our next to final question, the penultimate question here, is I'd love to hear a little bit about how academic advisors are helping students in their day-to-day, but also with kind of longer-term goals as well. So Ria, I'd love for you to kick off that discussion.
Yeah, I have a lot of academic advisors based on like how many majors and minors I'm in. So, you know, they always help me out no matter what I do. Like we say, that close personal attention is really cool, because you get to talk with your advisors, not just about, you know, your classes, but about what you're going to do after graduation and what sort of things that you want to come out of your classes and things like that. It was actually my Japanese professor who recommended me for the JET, or the Japan Exchange Teaching Program. He helped me with this process to get this job after school, and very recently I got accepted. So that's something I'm definitely looking forward to go teach English in Japan. And I think that's the cool thing about Ursinus, is that you get to go with your advisors and they give you all these opportunities for postgraduate things.
All right, thank you very much. And then Jake, I would throw the same question to you. I'd love to hear a little bit about your experience with your own advisor.
Yeah, so I've been working with my academic advisor in the environmental studies department since the second semester of my freshman year, when I could officially, declare as an environmental studies major. And I was actually filling out a survey for the environmental studies department last night that was kind of a reflection on my relationship with my advisor. And I pretty much had said that I definitely can't speak enough to the kinds of relationships that I've had, not only with just my academic advisor, but with kind of a bunch of the other faculty in the department as well. Whether it's stuff that has to be directly related to what you're learning in the classroom, or if you have personal stuff going on, really anything that you're struggling with, your advisor is going to be someone that you can go to. And my advisor has definitely been there for me over the past 3.5 years at Ursinus when I've been working with him. But outside of that, in terms of helping students figure out what they want to do after Ursinus, I think that it's really cool that starts officially with the first semester that you're going to be with your academic advisor. I know, at least from my experience, one of the first things that my academic advisor wanted to do when I met him was just to get to know who I am, get to know what my interests are, my hobbies, and then ultimately what my professional goals were. So he was asking me things like, what do you want to do? Why do you want to do this? What direction do you want to take your career, and for what reasons? And then because of that, as I was going through and completing my major, he was helping me pick classes that were going to kind of push me in that direction, and were going to equip me with the skills that I needed, that, I was going to be successful when I graduated from Ursinus. And I think it's the fact that starts the moment that you begin working with your academic advisor is extremely critical. And I think that it's definitely unique about Ursinus, is that's something that they offer. And it's something that they hold as a very high priority, which is super important.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a conversation that we have early and often. And then Susanna, I'd love to hear from you, just as you're working with your advisees. How is that looking as you're looking? Obviously, you're here on campus now, but you won't be forever, and we have some longer term goals here.
Yeah, so I want to just echo a lot of what Jake has said. These are one-on-one relationships that start usually in the first year, and then they last and last and last and last. So there are a lot of alumni from when I first started at Ursinus a decade ago, and we still have lunch and we still talk. These are real relationships. They're a real part of my life. They're not just something that I'm doing for my job. And when I think about my relationships with my advisees over the years, some students come in and they know what they want to do after college, but they aren't sure what the academic path towards graduation is going to look like. So I think about one student who knew she wanted to do nonprofit work, but she wasn't sure what combination of majors and minors was going to get her there. Other students come in and they know their path. They're like, yes, I want to major in history, but they have no idea what they want to do after. And so then in those cases, we're focusing on figuring out how to make that transition. And I think about another student who did honors research with me, and now he's director level in financial compliance. And it's using his analytical and research skills really well. And then there are occasional students that come in and say, this is exactly what I want to do. And I just kind of sit back and say, that's awesome, let me help you. So the relationships take a lot of different forms, but they're real human relationships. They mean a lot to me as a person, as a faculty member. And the best part of it is seeing our students transform themselves and really take flight at Ursinus, but then also after Ursinus.
Yeah, and that's a tremendous point. These are real relationships. They're lasting relationships, and the relationships that I think a lot of faculty are looking for, and that's why they're choosing to be at a school like Ursinus. So I know that many of your colleagues echo those sentiments that I've heard. I've heard it from students as well. So thanks for bringing that up. All right, our final question as our time draws to a close here this afternoon would simply be, what advice would you all have for a first-year incoming student? So Meredith, I'd love to start with you.
Sure. I would say start by making those connections. Talk to your professors, talk to kids in your classes. We want to talk to you. I mean, I can't emphasize that enough. And I think making those connections among peers is important. And I have to give a little shout out to Ria here, because yesterday I was mentoring a student who's an East Asian Studies major and English minor. And she was telling me how much that Ria had inspired her, because Ria's her tutor. And the student now wants to do JET because of Ria. So I feel like playing a role in those relationships and that empowerment of students is incredibly important to me. And so I just want students to be aware, that we are there for them and we're eager to make those connections.
Absolutely, and a quick shout out to Ria. Fantastic news. Jake, let's go to you next.
I would say that the number one thing that I would recommend for a first-year student is, as hard as it may be, do the best that you can to push yourself outside of your comfort zone. You'd be surprised with how much that you're going to grow and develop as a person just by doing that. And just from my experience, I was there myself as a first-year student. I was just as hesitant to get outside of my comfort zone as most first-year students are. It's natural. It's kind of the way that it goes with the transition from high school to college. But the difference being at Ursinus is that you're going to have so many support services. You're going to have so many people that are going to be there along the way to make sure that that transition goes as smoothly as possible. And then you can kind of test the waters, get involved in things that you didn't really think that you were going to, figure out what you do like, what you don't like, and then kind of use that to inform ultimately what you want to do for the next 3 years that you're going to be at Ursinus. Use it to decide where you want to go professionally, but also kind of the groups that you might want to get involved in socially as well, which is cool.
Yeah, we're asking you to step out of your comfort zone, but we're not asking you to do so alone. And I think that's a really key distinction that students are able to take advantage of on our campus. Let's pop over to Keisha.
Yeah, I would echo a lot of what Jake said, and trying new things, saying yes to new experiences. I never thought that I would have studied abroad, and it was one of the best experiences I had. Like I mentioned earlier, finding that I really liked dance. I was a sustainability fellow in the environmental studies department with no interest in the sciences, and I loved it. So, opportunities like that are available, take them. And the other thing I would say is take CIE seriously. It's a really great class. I know it feels like, oh, it's just freshman seminar and everyone has to take it. The books that you read, the things you discuss, the opportunity to have conversations with people that are all studying different things with different backgrounds is really important. Looking back at what I read and what I did in CIE, it really formulated the path that I took academically. CIE is what made me question, well, we were reading more classical texts, why aren't women's voices represented in these texts? I went to my advisor, I explained that to her. She said, do a women's studies major. It was a self-initiated major. I had to write my own curriculum plan for it because it wasn't offered as a major. And I, made a whole, major based on it. So CIE is a really great class. And I would encourage people to really enjoy it and read the books.
Absolutely, and I know that a lot of our students as they're graduating echo those words as well, just on how impactful that common intellectual experience truly was. Ria, let's go to you next.
I actually say one of the best things to do, and especially early on, from day one, get involved. No matter what you do on campus, you'll get something out of it, no matter what kind of experience you have. I've had, I think, 3 or 4 on-campus jobs, and I've loved all of them. But because I had so many different experiences from these jobs, I've taken each skill sets and applied that to things like my classes and my internships, and hopefully with my post-grad opportunities. And I know something that's unique about our science is that we take these skills and we really apply them to, like, that you get from being involved, and apply them to things after graduation. I never thought I would be a leader of 2 or 3 different clubs on campus. But from my sophomore year, I immediately got leadership positions. And I think that's something that's really cool, because most undergraduate students kind of get lost in the crowd, especially in bigger schools. So it's unique that we get to already take on these leadership roles and have that on our resume. And so especially getting involved.
Absolutely. And we want students to come in, bring those passions that they already have, but we hope that they're able to step outside of that comfort zone, cultivate some new passions as well, take on those leadership positions. Susanna, I would toss it to you.
So I've been sitting here trying to figure out how to not sound repetitive, because Jake and Keisha really hit it for me. So how about I say think outside the box, which is slightly different wording. I meet a lot of students who think, well, I can't do this and that at the same time, or I can't do an internship and study abroad, or I can't do research and whatever else it might be. And yes, you can. And we will help you figure out a way to do it. You can double major in math and history. You can double major in physics and history and do pre-engineering. You can study abroad and do internships in London. We will figure out a way for you to do it if you're willing to imagine yourself doing it.
I love that. Yeah. And we talk about a lot of times harnessing the power of and I think that students will think, yeah, I can't do this. But again, you're not alone. You've got people helping you map out those 4 years, and we'll make those puzzle pieces fit together. Absolutely. Sam, I would head up to you. I think you may want to unmute.
Okay, there we go. I'm just going to honestly say cherish every moment, because in 4 years, I'm going to start crying. You're going to be sitting in my position and just being like, dang, that went so quickly and I loved every moment of it. And I wish, honestly, I had more.
Well said. Very sage, Sam. Yeah, it does go by really, really fast. And then Sharon, lastly, we come to you.
I got a little choked up listening to Sam. So what I would say to first year students is to please come see us in career and postgraduate development. We will get to you in the first semester in your first year advising groups and send you the invitations to come in to chat with us. But we are here, as we all are, all of us who work at Ursinus, we are here because we care and we want to get to know you and want to help you. And the idea of as a first year student going into a department that says career and postgraduate development might seem scary or counterintuitive, but the earlier you get started, the better. And we truly, truly want to see you and to get to know you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that is an extremely sincere offer, but a big part of the transition from high school into college is now it is incumbent upon you, the student, to go in and make those relationships. We'll reach out to you all day long, but you have to take that ownership, go in and start that process on your own. So a huge thank you to all of our panelists here this afternoon. You are all fantastic. A huge thank you to all of our prospective students and families who are watching this as well on our Admitted Student Experience website. We will be hosting our final panel for parents, and this will be pre-recorded as well. It will be made available on the website later this afternoon. So please continue to enjoy the Admitted Student Experience in this, our third and final day, with a lot of the at your own pace materials. And as always, go Bears. Thank you so much.